Welcome to the MSDW podcast. I'm Jason Gumpert, editor at MS Dynamics World. On this episode, we are talking about the experience of going from a Dynamics AX and Dynamics 365 F&O customer that uses an AP automation solution to becoming a consulting director for that AP automation solution. Our guests are from this episode's sponsor, SignUp Software. Tina McGrath of SignUp was a customer before she joined the company's consulting team, and she shares both sides of that journey, from implementing ExFlow at her previous employer to what she brings to clients today as Director of Consulting Services for F&O. Tina is joined by Rob Ashe, head of North America at SignUp. We discussed not only Tina's experiences, but the future of AP automation and future plans for ExFlow that Dynamics 365 customers can look forward to. All right, I am here with Rob Ashe and Tina McGrath of SignUp Software. Welcome to both of you. Can we maybe start with a bit of an introduction of each of you? Tina, do you want to go first?
Sure. Thanks, Jason. Great to be here. So my name is Tina McGrath, as you mentioned. I am the Director of Consulting Services for F&O in North America.
Great. And welcome, Rob.
Hi, Jason. Hi, everyone. My name is Rob Ashe. I'm the Vice President of North America for SignUp Software, based in Fargo, North Dakota, where I believe it is currently somewhere around -10, but who's counting? So I am very excited to not be outside at the moment.
Excellent. Yeah, that is a serious temperature. I mean, there's no joking around with that. Well, thanks to both of you for being here. I'm really looking forward to chatting with you both because I know we have some great stuff to discuss. And Tina, I wanted to start with you because you sort of have an interesting story in your journey within the SignUp and ExFlow ecosystem, I guess you would say. Can you take us back to your time before SignUp and a little bit of your history with AP and the challenges that you were facing? And your relationship to ExFlow.
Okay, definitely. So I guess as far as my experience from the previous company side, I was involved in an ERP transformation project. I was the finance lead, so I was responsible for all systems and third-party software that was involved within the finance area, which would have included ExFlow. Before ExFlow, the company that I worked for did rely on a third-party AP software that was integrated into their then legacy ERP system. This setup presented numerous challenges, including integration issues. So we had to continuously monitor failures, and we had to, at times, manually repush data, both when sending information as when posting it back within the ERP system. So lost information at times because we were using a third party. The AP software also had undergone extensive customizations. So, the as-is package didn't meet the business needs. So this made it difficult to distinguish between standard functionality and also custom built-in features. It created many challenges to do software upgrades and keep current as well. Because the software wasn't embedded within the ERP, pricing issues had to be manually adjusted back within the ERP system and not within the AP software itself. So there was a lack of automated cost updates. And the limitations also made it impossible to link things like return orders to original purchase orders for tracking purposes. So very many issues with the overall system they were using, and it mostly stemmed from using software that wasn't fully integrated within the ERP system itself.
So this then led to choosing ExFlow. Can you talk about what you remember about what stood out in that decision?
Mm-hmm. So once the decision was made to implement a new ERP and we were going through a full ERP transformation, we actually started by creating some guiding principles. They were established early in the project, and really they were set to eliminate the need for custom integrations because of how many issues that had been created. So really the primary approach was to leverage Dynamics 365 F&O out of the box if it met business requirements. And unfortunately, it did not meet all the needs for the business. So then the secondary approach was to use a Microsoft certified ISV to address any remaining requirements that the business had. And really ExFlow stood out in this regard because it fulfilled most business needs. And also as an embedded software, it provided a seamless user experience within Dynamics 365 F&O. It allowed for one place to do all processes for the team. And it also made it easier for users to, adapt, and it simplified the change management process and overall user buy-in. So best of all, no integrations were required to be built in to move the data from ExFlow into Dynamics 365 F&O. So that's the main feature that stood out that really helped make the decision to move forward with ExFlow.
Did you have any sort of measurable impacts after you implemented ExFlow on efficiency, accuracy?
So after having ExFlow, it meant that all processes could be completed within Dynamics 365 F&O. So really it improved the overall efficiency from the AP team, and it eliminated the need to jump between systems to do processes. But it also meant improved accuracy relating to product costing and overall proper costing when returning products to suppliers. So really overall better cost management as well. One other thing that it helped with is have better controls over the data from a financial and also a posting perspective, because there was no longer a need to repush data and have missing data due to failed integration jobs. So really a lot of efficiencies and improved financial processes overall after implementing ExFlow.
All right. This is the point in the story, I guess, from my perspective, where things get kind of interesting because, as you just described, you've seen a lot of the potential pain points that a company can face in this scenario with payables and, going through the very big process of implementing a new ERP, making the decision, selecting ExFlow. Can you talk a little bit more about sort of living with the new system, post go live, and then also how that led to the transition to actually going from being a customer to actually joining SignUp Software?
Yeah, so post go live, I guess, from my perspective, we actually developed an in-house team to do ExFlow support as well as D365 F&O support. So we had a team that we developed that would be first line support. So once we had that first line support, of course, anytime that we needed more additional support, we would actually reach out to the SignUp team for that support. So I had worked with the SignUp team for many years, and I really developed a deep respect for their operations and the people behind them. So, I had relationships with the people that worked there. They were a great team to deal with, and they were very helpful all the time in helping us with our business goals and any issues that we had. They also really consistently just demonstrated some integrity and fairness when it came to, how we work together. Which made a lasting impression on me personally. So when I did come across a job posting at SignUp in a field that I was interested in, I actually seized on that opportunity. I also want to emphasize that changing employers was not a decision I made lightly. I was at my prior employment for 25 and a half years with that company. So this wasn't something that, I took lightly, and I wouldn't leave just to go anywheres. And really, I was seeking both career growth and the chance to help others by sharing my experience. I knew by joining software and being part of that ExFlow implementation and being support thereafter, once we were post go live, it meant that I could offer guidance and support to our customers through their own journeys. So that was a big, big feature for me to join SignUp as well.
All right. Yeah. And how does that firsthand experience help you in your role today?
I believe it helps me have a better understanding of our customer needs as well as the business needs within our own delivery team. I can help provide guidance to our customers on where to focus testing efforts and where to watch for potential challenges throughout the implementation. I also frequently draw from my own experiences when working with our customers. I offer a firsthand perspective on the process that I've actually undergone myself. And I really hope that our customers also really feel that it provides them with help and guidance during their implementation as well.
All right, excellent. Well, Rob, let me bring you in here. It's a great story. I mean, thank you, Tina, for sharing all that to start us off here. From your perspective in this leadership position in North America, what do you think about having a former user like Tina joining your team and sort of being in such an important place in services delivery?
It's extremely valuable for us and our customers and our partners. And we're in a unique position because, within our North America group, we have people like myself that worked at Microsoft. And so, very familiar with Dynamics 365 platform and the ecosystem. We have folks like Tina who have been on the end customer and user side. And we also have people that have implemented the solutions on the partner side. So we really have like a holistic view within the SignUp North America team for the different stakeholders and the different considerations and people that have done these things for, multiple iterations. So we can really not just be a vendor that provides a solution and implements a project, but we can actually be a strategic advisor where we can provide options. We can provide pros and cons. We can provide anecdotal support for why we might want to take a certain approach to deliver a certain outcome. And the thing that I've found is it helps differentiate not just our solution, but it's our team as well. And the folks that build longstanding relationships with the stakeholders at our customers, because they feel like they're being more consulted and advised as opposed to sold, which I feel like everybody appreciates those kinds of experiences more. I use a lot of analogies when I'm talking to customers, and I recently renovated some pieces of my home. And when I was working with my contractor, when we were deciding what to do, he was drawing on his experience from having done this not only in his own home, but also for a dozen other families that have done similar things. So having that lived experience, not only as the person who's doing the project, but as also the stakeholder and the person who's on the buying side as well, it just helps you make better decisions and maybe ask better questions of what is the right decision for us in our organization. So we're very fortunate. I'm in a very fortunate position from a leadership perspective to draw on that experience for our customers.
So yeah, Rob, that's really interesting. And I guess I would just follow that up, wondering really from both of you, I'll start with you, Rob. Can you recall anything that you sort of brought into SignUp Software because you had this other earlier professional experience that you were coming with that you think really helped inform your work there, and something you kind of brought to the team, specifically an idea or a perspective?
Yeah, I think the thing that jumps to mind, so my previous experience, I worked at Microsoft for a pretty long while, specifically in the business applications and the Dynamics world. So I was working with customers when they were making the platform selection process. And when I was working with clients, a lot of the things that we were trying to do is really helping quantify what the business outcome they were driving for making this change, and building it all the way from the business justification to, hey, how are we actually going to make this happen? And some of the things that I talk to customers about now is really looking at their investment in Dynamics as a pure investment. Like, hey, what are we looking to get out of this? How long is this time horizon? When you're making a selection and you're maybe halfway through your phase 1 implementation of Dynamics 365 Finance, for instance, that's not a 3-year investment. Most organizations, their time horizon is 5, 10 plus years. So trying to stretch out that time horizon and think, okay, how are we going to continue to get value out of this platform? And what are the things that we can do to not just focus on short-term wins or savings, but how do we build foundations that can scale? And how do we think about that when we start extending this platform across different vendors, ISVs, partners, et cetera? So for me, I really try to bring more of that longer time horizon investment as they're talking about the different relationships that they may have within their, partnerships across the platform, and trying to think, how can we provide as much value in that process for the customer and to help them make those kinds of decisions. So we say, hey, what does cost savings mean for you? How are you measuring success right now? Because if we can capture that information, that gives us a baseline to be able to propose a new reality in the future with a solution. Like, for instance, lowering the cost of an invoice processing, or seeing how much time it actually takes to process an invoice. How many hands does the invoice have to pass through for approvals? And can we put a number on that? So for me, it's really more around some of the solution selling as opposed to the features and functions of the software that we provide, but it's really more around the business outcomes and trying to make sure that we're providing that perspective to the business decision makers and the technical stakeholders that we're working with as they're trying to make ideally a long-term solution decision.
To me, honestly, that speaks to sort of how deep the analysis can go, probably should go, when you're trying to make this kind of a decision from a customer perspective of, how deeply you can go into this one, very important sort of business process area, but might not be able to sort of build that out yourself. If you're looking at buying or investing in a D365 or any ERP, right? I mean, that's where that kind of analysis can be super valuable coming from you, I would guess.
Yeah, especially if it's the first time you've done that. If you haven't gone through that transformation effort at another company and you're kind of going through your playbook, if it's the first time you're doing it, you're learning on the fly and hopefully leveraging the experience and expertise of others to help guide you through that process. And ideally, that's what we're trying to do with our team, is to provide that expertise and a bit of a guided process to help deliver those business outcomes.
Mm-hmm. And even if you have gone through it, perhaps you haven't gone through it in a SaaS-based model, especially a model like what Microsoft brings in with with their partners. Yeah, great point. Tina, let me kind of pose the similar question to you. You obviously came from a different perspective. Was there something that you recall bringing to SignUp, a nugget of information or some feedback or something you were really hoping to sort of add to the team?
Definitely. So I guess prior to joining SignUp, I did have a background within process improvement. So for me, the first thing that I took with me to SignUp and helped, implement there was to work with our delivery team to, eliminate waste and improve our overall delivery process and how we're working with our customers and making sure that everything that we do is value add. And it's something that, that we always question, is this something that the customer is willing to pay for? If we're doing something within our processes and we're not getting value from it, the customer's not getting value from it, we eliminate that from our process. So it's really just stepping back and making sure that we provide the best value with the most efficiency within our own teams.
All right, excellent. Well, let me pose the next question to you as well, Tina. I wanted to look to the future a bit. How do you see AP automation evolving in the industry?
I would say probably artificial intelligence and machine learning are rapidly evolving right now. So it's reducing the need for manual coding within AP teams. And it also allows them to shift from more of a data entry task focus role to more analytical focus role. They're with greater emphasis really on exception handling and less manual touches overall. So I'd say that's probably the biggest area right now of involving in the AP automation space that would bring the most value.
From what I know of the AP automation sort of technology landscape, I would guess that you're able to, as a team, and I could put this to either of you, really kind of show your customers sort of how you're making that happen, as opposed to asking a lot of them to actually figure those kinds of things out. That seems like a nice opportunity. Show the power of where AI and where machine learning capabilities are at, and just put them to use for your D365 customers. Can either of you comment further on that?
Yeah, that actually, I think some of it's a bit of a paradigm shift, because the tools within AI and like the Copilot solutions, they're so powerful that I feel like the automating tasks is kind of where everybody jumps to. Like, okay, what are the things that we do now that we can do faster and more efficiently? And I think that's kind of where most people's thought kind of jumps to. And when I've talked to customers about this, I usually will pose it in a bit more abstract way, which is, I use kind of a silly analogy, but it's around like, what if you had access to a genie? And what if you could make wishes? And the genie could grant wishes for your business, and those wishes would be able to come true, and you'd be able to track them on a dashboard. It's not all that dissimilar to prompting things with AI. And you're saying, your prompt is basically saying, hey, I need to ask really specifically what I'm asking for, and the genie comes back with an answer. But if you're not really specific, the genie might not give you quite the wish you were asking for, and there might be some negative consequences, or misses the mark, or it's incorrect. So you have to be really specific with your prompting. And that's why you see so much focus with a lot of teams with not only setting up their data and the foundational efforts to make sure that there's not bias in the data, that it's correct and accurate, but then it's also having to train their teams on how to work with AI to get the things that they're asking for, to drive those outcomes, to control for variables. And it's a very different way of working. And it's not as simple as just, automating things in the background. There's absolutely lots of things that we can do with RPA and other just in the box foundational processes. But there's also this other kind of change management portion, which is when you start to have access to these new tools, you have to work with them fundamentally different, and it's a different skill set. And it also opens up like, hey, should we re-architect how we do our business? Because maybe the things that we're doing now aren't really going to meet the needs for us in the future when we have these new capabilities. So it gets pretty interesting when you start talking about that at a fundamental level, but it also gets kind of scary for customers to be like, oh, wow, where do we start? This is a big topic. How do we make the right move, and how do we control for risk? Because you're also talking about the financial health of an organization. So controlling for risk is usually one of the first and last conversations you have, which is, how do we do this the right way and make sure that we control for some of those variables.
Yeah, and I think it's a great opportunity for SignUp and companies like SignUp to really be a trusted guide and help show these organizations sort of what's possible and how to do it well. Right. All right, great. Well, I really appreciate getting a chance to learn a little bit more from each of you today. Rob, where can people learn more about ExFlow and how to get started?
Yeah, so you can visit us online, our website, signupsoftware.com. The other thing that I'd recommend is also following our company page on LinkedIn. We are constantly posting out information that's relevant for the industry. So Office of the CFO, Office of the COO, thought leadership from really the projects that we're working on, the trends that we're seeing within the industry. So it's a great resource for customers and partners to learn more about us and the value that we can bring, and hopefully to get the opportunity to work with and for those constituents in the future. Those are the two big ones.
All right. Well, Tina, Rob, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, I agree. I mean, you're doing some really interesting work on macro processes and your vision for Office of the CFO, like you mentioned. So I really look forward to seeing what's next. Thanks again for being here.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been another episode of the MSDW podcast. My thanks once again to Rob and Tina for being here. And this message from SignUp Software. To learn more about ExFlow, the only fully embedded AP automation solution for D365 finance and operations, or to explore the full suite of solutions offered by SignUp Software, visit their website and request a product demo today. You can go to signupsoftware.com/book-demo. That's signupsoftware.com/book-demo. And that's it for this episode. If you want to get in touch with me, you can send me an email, jason@msdynamicsworld.com. For all of our updates, please do follow us on LinkedIn. Until next time, this is MS Dynamics World, signing off.